Hi everyone, this is Dave from Geekanoids and this is my full review of the Apple iPhone 4S. Now you all know I went for the white version. This is a 32GB model. I had a 16GB iPhone 4 and with the upgraded cameras in the 4S I thought I'd just go up the range slightly and go for 32GB, anticipating that I might be shooting some 1080p video on this and it would take up a little bit more room on the device. Now there's going to be a lot to talk about in this review. I'm going to keep it as concise as possible and let's start off with the design. When Apple initially announced this device I was a little bit disappointed that they kept the design the same. I was expecting something revolutionary, something that looked completely different. But having had time to think about this over the last week or so, I can see why they kept the design the same. Now when they announced the iPhone 4, the design was fabulous and nothing really has changed over the last year and a bit. So why would they then change it? They would be giving out the wrong message for a start. They would be saying the iPhone 4 looked rubbish, here's something better and fantastic that you can hold in your hand. So instead of that they kept the design the same, which I do now think was a wise move, and they did a lot of changes to the inside. The first one was obviously addressing the antenna issue, which really does seem to have worked. I mean, I can hold it in any position now and I don't get any drop in signal. Now I'll cover off some of the other design changes they made inside throughout this review, but first of all let's just deal with pricing. In the UK, the base model, the 16GB, came down a tiny bit in price, and don't forget we're buying unlocked SIM-free models, so we don't have to, if we buy direct from Apple, commit to any contract. And a 16GB model is going to cost you £499, 32GB model like this, £599, and then the top end 64GB is going to cost you £699. So it's not cheap, but at least that price of the base model has come down a bit with Apple. With regards to performance, that was the next thing they addressed. They put a dual core processor in here. We were expecting them to actually keep it at the same speed as in the iPad 2, but they did underclock it at, I think it's 800 MHz. But that is very snappy. Opening up applications, taking long videos on the camera and then stopping and restarting again, it really is noticeable, that speed increase. Day-to-day use for things like making calls and texting, sending emails, you don't see a lot of difference in speed, but certainly in the camera I have noticed the speed increase is quite remarkable compared to the iPhone 4. Now I mentioned camera there, this is fantastic. It's got this brand new camera on the back. It's got a very good aperture, I think it's f2.4, 8 megapixel, takes absolutely stunning photos. I've been so impressed with the photos this is taking. You've seen my previous videos covering off video footage and photos, and this camera on the back is absolutely fantastic. Less so for video. It does take good 1080p HD video. The sound hasn't really been improved, so a little bit disappointed there. And when you're panning around shots, you saw in one of my videos where I did some outdoor footage, it does get a little bit jerky. Maybe that could have been addressed if they'd have kept the clock speed at 1 GHz dual core. Maybe that would have kept up with the frame rate a little bit better, but certainly as it stands, for doing sort of reasonably fast panning shots, you will experience some jerkiness in the video. Siri. You've seen my funny video on Siri where I asked the iPhone 4S if it would marry me. Siri is very good. It's still in beta form. When it comes out as a full version I think it will be even better. For now it's got a good use for dictating texts and messages and setting reminders. A little tiny bit gimmicky, maybe some people might use it initially for a long time and then they might stop using it. But for me, it's very good. If I want to dictate a quick text message or perhaps send out a tweet, I do find myself using the nuance engine or the dictation that's built into the iPhone 4S quite a bit. And I foresee myself using that for quite a bit in the future as well. iOS 5. That's not new just to this device, this is new to a lot of other devices as well, including the iPhone 4, and the iPad range as well. But certainly on the iPhone 4S, the iOS 5 operating system does work at a nice speed. It has got some problems for me. Notifications, for example, there's no easy way of turning off all notifications at night. You have to go through them individually. Unless I'm mistaken, leave a comment below if you know how to do it. But for me, at night time, I would like a profile where I can switch off all notifications, have this docked and on charge, and not have the screen keep coming on and off. Also, notifications have a massive impact on battery life. Now, I'm still getting a full day's use out of this because they did improve the battery life on the iPhone 4S. But if you've got notifications on for emails, tweets, I don't know, PayPal for example, text messages, and you get a lot of emails like me, I mean I get 800 to 1,000 emails a day, that is going to eat your battery life very quickly. So be careful with notifications. The rest of the iOS 5 functions, such as the pulling down the notification bar for weather, etc., and getting information on your emails that have come in, absolutely fantastic. I like it a lot. Let's move on to what this is really been purchased for, apart from all the multitasking and email features, and that's making and taking calls. The call quality is extremely good. Listening to the calls through the top earpiece here, very clear. I think they have uprated the earpiece speaker a little bit. With regards to the microphone, that seems about the same. There's no change in sort of my voice quality from people that are receiving calls from me. The actual speaker, I think they have changed again. It seems a lot louder and a lot clearer as well. So I think they have done something to the hardware with regards to the actual speaker in the handset. Battery life I already touched on. I'm managing a full day. Some people are saying it's very bad. Just be careful. Go into your settings, turn off things like diagnostics so it doesn't send diagnostics to Apple. Turn off things like ping as well, because that stops it looking for new updates from your friends. And turn off notifications that you don't really need, and that will help you eke out as much battery life as you can out of your iPhone 4S. Now, in closing, I just want to touch on, have they done enough? Well, I test a lot of handsets. I get a lot of Android handsets in for review, also Windows Phone 7 handsets, and it's really difficult, but let me explain. I will always have an iPhone. Because of what I do, I will always have one of these to test gadgets, and I love the OS, but it's still feeling a little bit stale. Now, just a couple of days back, Google announced the new Galaxy Nexus mobile phone. Looks absolutely stunning, 4.65-inch screen. Motorola announced their new Droid Razr, and that has got a very thin profile, 7.9mm I think it is, something like that. And they're being very brave in the way they're designing. Now, I know it doesn't all come down to aesthetics, but they have got dual-core 1.2 GHz processors in there, 1 GB of internal memory, and an operating system that you can customise a little bit more than iOS. So Apple have got to be really careful with the next iteration of their phone. So when they release the iPhone 5, they have to come up with something revolutionary. This phone is probably about 6 months late, to be honest, and for them to be at the top of the pile still, they need to be developing something that is going to change the game plan again. At the moment, this sits just comfortably alongside the Galaxy Nexus, the Droid Razr, and even the Samsung Galaxy S2. It does not sit above it. It's just purely through their marketing and the way that people really aspire to owning an iPhone 4 or 4S that they keep on the top of their game. So Apple, listen up, get inspiring, make sure you do right with the iPhone 5, otherwise you might find a lot of these Android handsets are being picked up instead of an iOS device. So for me, I'm going to be sticking with the iPhone 4S. Absolutely love it, feels beautiful in the hand, runs nice and cool. The winning feature for me is that camera on the back. I absolutely love it. So I hope that sort of gives you my opinion. It's a little bit of a different review for me really, because although I love it, I've still got mixed opinions, but I'm still going to be sticking with it. But it hasn't won me over 100% like previous iPhones have. So thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe. It really helps me if you subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button on this video as well, and share it on Twitter if you can, because that all helps. And I just appreciate your views. It's great sharing my thoughts with you. If you've managed to pick up an iPhone 4S, leave in the comments below what you think about it, and I will see you all in the next video.